Checklists describing the symptoms of a sociopath highlight what they do: lie, blame others, love bomb their romantic targets, pursue sex. But you should also pay attention to what they don't do. I'm Donna Andersen, author of lovefraud.com, and today I'm going to explain that negative symptoms, normal human behaviors that sociopaths don't do, are also key warning signs. Okay, let's get started. Certain behaviors are pretty good indicators that you're dealing with a sociopath. One of them is love bombing. The person is showering you with attention and affection, wants to be with you all the time, tells you how wonderful you are. Sociopaths often, although not always, do this when they're trying to seduce a romantic partner. They can also use a modified version of the love bombing strategy in other types of relationships, such as flattering the boss at work. In that case, you might call it brown-nosing. Another typical sociopathic behavior is the pity play, trying to make you feel sorry for them. The objective is to get you to do what they want. Sociopaths can use this strategy in many situations. You may see it from your disordered parents and family members, as well as from disordered romantic partners. Another sociopathic behavior is aggression. You probably won't experience this while you're being reeled in, although you may see it directed towards other people, animals, or property. But once sociopaths think they have you under control, you may feel the brunt of their verbal or physical violence. If you see all of these behaviors in one person, you should start evaluating whether or not he or she is a sociopath. But also pay attention to normal behaviors that you don't see. These are called negative symptoms, and they are important red flags. Just to be clear, red flags of what? That the person has a serious personality disorder and will not change. At Love Fraud, I use the term sociopath as it was originally intended to describe anything deviated or pathological in social relations. I use it as an umbrella term for all the cluster B personality disorders: antisocial, narcissistic, borderline, and histrionic personality disorders, plus psychopathy. So here are the 7 negative symptoms to watch out for. Number 1, lack of empathy. One negative symptom that immediately comes to mind is a lack of empathy. The first time you see or experience a profound lack of empathy, it can be shocking. You tell a disordered person that something terrible has happened, and it doesn't register at all. They just start talking about themselves. You tell them that you're really sick, or your best friend, or your pet, or your mother died, and the reaction is a blank stare. They simply don't know how to respond. Or they say, "They're gone, get over it." A lack of empathy is one of the 9 diagnostic criteria for narcissistic personality disorder, which is one of the cluster B personality disorders. Empathy is necessary for any real personal relationship. If someone has no empathy, there is no relationship. It's one person using the other. Here's symptom number 2, lack of remorse. Sociopaths routinely do things that are inappropriate, rude, nasty, or even illegal, but when others are hurt, they simply don't care. They are indifferent to the effects of their behavior on others. Or they rationalize their behavior, saying something like, "It doesn't matter," or "everybody does it." In fact, the only thing sociopaths are sorry about is that they got caught. A lack of remorse is one of the 7 diagnostic criteria for antisocial personality disorder, which is another of the cluster B personality disorders. It is also a symptom of psychopathy, which is a similar condition. I include both antisocial personality disorder and psychopathy under the umbrella of sociopathy. Here's symptom number 3, no shame. My good friend and colleague, Dr. Leanne Leadham, explains that shame is a moral emotion. She says we experience shame when we discover a defect in ourselves, and expressing shame is a submissive response. It shows others our attempts to conform, improve ourselves, apologize, and make amends. Shame is not something you'll see from a sociopath. Typically, they perceive themselves as dominant and deserving of what they want. They also feel entitled to do whatever they want in order to get what they want. If you or anyone else gets steamrolled in the process, well, that's just too bad. Here's symptom number 4, failure to accept responsibility for their actions. Nothing is ever a sociopath's fault. Whatever problems they have or trouble they get into, they always have an excuse or someone to blame. This is especially noticeable when sociopaths talk about their prior relationships. Previous partners are described as cheating gold diggers who take their money and keep them away from their kids. Prior love interests are also described as being mentally deranged. Sociopaths never admit to having any responsibility for the breakdown of a relationship, even though they're probably the ones who were the cheating parasites. The Psychopathy Checklist Revised, which was developed by Dr. Robert Hare, is a 20-item checklist to evaluate an individual's level of psychopathy. Failure to accept responsibility for actions is one of the items on the checklist. Here's symptom number 5, lying by omission. Sociopaths lie. They tell big lies, little lies, stupid lies, outrageous lies. Dr. Leanne Leadham says that lying is the cardinal sign that someone is a sociopath. If they're not lying, they're not a sociopath. Sociopaths lie by commission. They say things that simply are not true. But they also lie by omission. Sociopaths fail to tell you things that they should tell you, like perhaps the fact that they're already married. Here's symptom number 6, lack of appropriate emotional reactions. This is something that's related to the sociopath's lack of empathy, but bigger. When you're around a sociopath, you may notice that he or she doesn't seem to know how to respond appropriately to emotional situations. Sociopaths and antisocials typically experience only a very narrow range of emotions, mostly negative emotions, such as anger, rage, and jealousy. Narcissists aren't much better. So they don't know how to feel joy at someone's success or good fortune, or grief at someone's loss. In fact, sociopaths have been known to look around the room to see how other people are reacting to a situation, so they know what to do. Still, sociopaths can cry at times, and this causes confusion. I once received a letter from a love fraud reader who asked, if a sociopath cries at movies, does it mean that he has feelings? Well, the answer is no. Many psychopaths and sociopaths and other disordered individuals are great actors and can turn on the tears at will. They learn that they're supposed to cry at sad movies, so they do. My ex-husband once asked me with a tear sliding down his cheek if I wanted him to leave. Unfortunately, I said no. He then continued to swindle me for another year. And finally, here's symptom number 7, inability to authentically love. As I mentioned previously, I use the term sociopath as an umbrella term for the cluster B personality disorders: antisocial, narcissistic, borderline, and histrionic personality disorders, plus psychopathy. Here's what all of these disorders have in common. The affected individuals do not have the ability to authentically love. Specifically, they cannot care about the health and well-being of someone else. They can't put anyone else before themselves, not even their mother or their own children. You may intuitively sense this, even though the person is saying all the right things, at least in the beginning. You may feel like there's no connection, no depth, no core. You are correct. Sociopaths are like empty suits or cardboard cutouts. What's missing is the ability to love. So those are 7 negative symptoms to watch out for: lack of empathy, lack of remorse, no shame, failure to accept responsibility, lying by omission, lack of appropriate emotional reactions, and an inability to love. If this describes someone you know, you should distance yourself from him or her. If you need assistance in escaping or recovering from a sociopath, you'll find it at Love Fraud. We have thousands of articles, including many people telling their own personal stories. You are certainly not alone. We have webinars by therapists and other experts to help you, and I am always happy to work with you one-on-one. I can give you practical advice for your situation and help to ease the stress that you feel with deep emotional release or Reiki. Just go to lovefraud.com/talk to Donna, or click the links in the description below the video window. Even after a sociopath, full recovery is possible. Love Fraud is here to help you.